Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Built in Ohio podcast. This is a special one for Ohio Tech Day, which is our statewide celebration of tech meant to inspire students to consider innovation careers. And today we have our keynote podcast guest, Lieutenant Governor Jon Husted, who is out front leading the charge on tech and innovation issues across the state. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for joining us and all that you're doing for the state of Ohio.
Absolutely. Great to be with you.
So I figured we could dive in. As we're thinking about tech, we're thinking about education. There is no bigger theme or topic right now that everyone seems to be talking about than artificial intelligence, AI. And it's something that you've been interested in for quite some time. There's a lot of people lately that have been picking up the mantle and talking about it. But it's been an area that you've been focused on and doing work in for a while. And so I just wanted to start with, as we're talking with tech pros across the state, students, teachers, parents, what has interested you about artificial intelligence and how are you thinking about it?
I think about it as a productivity tool. If you want to improve the quality of life for people, you have to find ways to help them become more productive, which increases their earning power, which improves the quality of life for everybody. So let's face it, from the beginning of innovations, like let's say fire or internal combustion or all of these kinds of things, all of those innovations have improved people's lives. They've made when you turned heat into work, you created more productivity. When you use technology to process information, you're enhancing productivity. So I think about AI in that way, and how do we harness it for the purposes of good?
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying it's like the fourth industrial revolution. And my organization, OhioX, in your office of Innovate Ohio, we recently partnered on 2 AI forums in Cleveland and Cincinnati, where we had tech leaders, we had business executives, we had educators, we had university, higher education there. It was a fascinating 2 forums, and bringing those worlds together to talk specifically about artificial intelligence. But coming out of those and hearing from leaders across the state, what were some of your takeaways from those conversations that we've been having on AI together?
Well, first of all, let me sort of set the stage for the terms under which we had these forums. Is that I understand that there's a lot of anxiety and fears and people discussing regulations and how AI can be used for harmful things. And I acknowledge all of those. That all can certainly happen. But what we focused our forums on is what AI could be used to accomplish for good around largely 2 areas. One, how do you use technology to improve customer service? Because we've been trying that at Innovate Ohio from the very beginning. You no longer have to go basically into a BMV anymore to renew your driver's license or to do a variety of things. That's trying to use technology to save people time and money, and it's a productivity tool. We want to use technology to do that. We've been using technology to make sure that we're not doing duplicate payments or making it easier for people to become foster parents or adoptive parents, all using technology. This is using AI to go through the entire revised and administrative code to figure out how we can do regulatory reform. We have been engaged in using tech tools for that purpose. And so that's a customer service piece. And then the education piece. I know that in November of last year, when ChatGPT came out, immediately was, well, students will use this to cheat. They will use it to write their term papers. Well, that's what people used to think about calculators and Wikipedia and all of these other resources that are now, kind of old news. And so let's figure out how to use AI for good. I think a couple of ways that can happen is that eventually it can become a personalized tutor for every child in Ohio, that everybody will have a 24/7 tutor to help them answer tough questions. And we can work to design systems around that. It's also helping educators understand what tools are out there to help support them, not only in thinking about how you teach differently, but also how you use it to enhance learning. All of those things were really the point of our discussion. And I found it to be a very robust conversation. I think a lot of people made connections and learned a lot during those 3 days, one in Cleveland, one in Columbus, and one in Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big takeaways that I had was just on the workforce side. A lot of our tech companies have been working in this space, and they've been doing it for years. And it's not necessarily new to them, although the technology is always evolving. But working in artificial intelligence, they've been thinking about it, focused on it. It seems almost the rest of us, those that aren't technologists and aren't, at big companies or leading startups. But as we think about adoption, whether it's for the students and using it as a personal tutor or a teacher to help build lessons plans, or small businesses across the state, what should we be thinking about when it comes to workforce development, so that we all can be empowered to use this tool for good?
Well, one of the things you talk about takeaways. One of the things I often say to my kids, if you want to be good at something, you got to practice it, right? Well, that's true of using AI as well. It's a new tool, and learning to ask the right questions, learning to use the right prompts to get the kind of outcomes that you want are super important. And so, that was a takeaway, but it is a productivity tool for businesses. And I talked to one small business owner recently who said that they were going to have to hire somebody to help them with their online marketing, but for the interim, they've been able to use an AI tool to help them, sort of get by without spending the money on bringing somebody new in. And all of that kind of stuff is I think really fascinating, because it can be a great equalizer.
Yeah.
Educationally, it can be. For small businesses, it can be. And I think it's an exciting new technology. I know that, and by the way, I say new technology, but we all know it's not really that new. It's just new in its present context in the large language model component, where it's doing things that we haven't really, that we just sort of like caught us out of the blue. If you're in the white collar workforce, all of this kind of seems new. If you're in the blue collar workforce, machines taking over human functions has been going on for a very, very long time. In the blue collar workforce, on the assembly line, in lasers, in welding, you name it, innovations, technologies, computer assisted design, CAD machine, all of these things have been around in the blue collar marketplace for quite a while. I think it's in the more professional settings, those traditional settings where only the human mind could do some of these things, like in writing, creating content, and things like that. That this has really started to maybe throw a few elbows into people and make them think about it a little differently.
Yeah, for sure. And even for us, we're a small nonprofit, and basically every low code, no code tool that we use, whether a website, event registration, graphic design, they've all instituted lately AI tools to help you be better, faster, smarter at it. And so, we see it as just a small organization ourselves.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, Chris, let me just interject something
yeah,
on there. If in October of last year you would have had a conversation about a job that will be there forever, and that is to be coding, right?
yeah,
And coding still will be, but AI is a tremendous productivity tool for coders, for example, and how that a lot of that you can use it to build the basic framework. Not that I am an expert in coding, but you can use it to build the basic framework, and then use your skills as a coder to add on to it and enhance it. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, is that you accomplish so much more with the same skills. And then that means that you can just, it's a leap forward
right.
in your productivity and your creativity.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Well, as we're starting to kind of wrap, want to kind of end with two kind of points or messages that you may have. The first would be, as we're thinking about AI, its impact on Ohio, us as individuals, our communities. What would be a takeaway message that you would want to leave with teachers, parents, educators? And then what would a final takeaway message be for students that are maybe in middle school, maybe in high school, that are hearing about this maybe for the first time, don't have a technologist at home, but they're interested of what all this means and what innovation careers entail?
Yeah. Well, the main message to parents, teachers, everyone is that this is our reality. It's a reality. It's a technology that you ought to become familiar with, that you ought to learn. You ought to figure out how to integrate into some aspects of your life if it makes sense. But it's here to stay, and it's only going to get more powerful. I think. I think that this is that everyone knew these kinds of technologies would happen. I just think that it kind of caught people by surprise, and it's fascinating. But learn how to use it, embrace it, and figure out how it can improve your world. I know I ask my staff to do that. It's like we should never be making certain kinds of mistakes because we have AI tools to make sure that we don't. And that's one way of thinking about it. But it's changing lots of aspects of our life. We saw recently where Google decided to invest another, I think it was $1.7 billion, that Amazon Web Services is investing another $7 billion in Ohio. That's data centers.
Mhm.
That's data center investment. Why do you need more computing power at data centers? It's to process AI. So that's the kind of stuff that's happening in our world, why adults, public officials, teachers, all of us need to care about it. As far as a takeaway for a student, it's a great learning enhancer. It really is. I mean, if you take a topic that you have that you want to talk about at school, I love studying the Civil War and a lot of our history. Ask it unique questions. Ask it obscure questions, and you come up with just some very amazing access to information. But also, you can't trust that Bard or Chat or any of these are right now exactly 100% correct. We all know that they make many mistakes, and so you got to learn to check your work. You got to validate these things, and that's the issue of trust with a lot of our technology. Just because you saw it on social media does not make it true. Just because you saw it on Chat or Bard does not make it true. But it may be something that you're going to want to ask some follow-up questions on and use it to help you maybe become more efficient at learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems just like the next evolution into open source learning. And I remember when Wikipedia came to be and the internet, it doesn't go away. So if we're not adopting it and kind of diving into how to harness it and use it for good, that's where the key is. But Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for joining today. Thanks so much for sharing your message and your leadership on these issues. We greatly appreciate it. Any final remarks that you want to share with our statewide audience?
Well, I want to just thank you, Chris, what you do, Ohio X, in bringing people together as a convener is super important. You were very involved with our forums that we did, particularly in Cleveland and in Cincinnati. This is what states need to be successful, is to have conversations, to bring people together, to continue to innovate, to help learn what the problems are, and then bring the resources together to solve them. And so thanks to Ohio X and you, and we look forward to continuing to work with you on making Ohio the most innovative entrepreneurial state in the Midwest, and to ensure that we use technology to improve the way we serve our customers, whether those are private customers or public customers. We want to use technology to improve the quality of life for all.
Awesome. Well, Lieutenant Governor, thank you again. Thanks for those words. We really appreciate it. We appreciate everyone for listening and watching in. We hope you have a fantastic Ohio Tech Day celebration. You can go to ohiox.org for more, or certainly ohiotechday.org as well. So thanks, everyone. And we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.